Hi, Bev. Good to see you again.
Hi.
I just want to ask you about that opposition, about what obviously you're playing three exceptional teams over there in this tournament. I guess what can you tell us about the opposition? They're going to be in kind of in form because all their players are playing right now, and I guess how big of a test is this going to be in this tournament?
Yeah, listen, if you really want to put yourself out there, you enter this tournament. I think that's the reality of, we want to be competing with the best continuously. And the safe thing to do would be to, go and play some weaker opposition, but we want to keep moving forward. To be honest, this camp and beyond is the start of a new journey. So the messaging is we've climbed one mountain, but we're going to have to go and climb a completely different mountain. The qualifiers and the World Cup is very, very different to what you need to be able to compete at an Olympic Games. So for us, it's the start of a new journey. What you'll see is a very confident England squad. You've seen their results, although you would argue they haven't been massively tested of recently. But I think that team will be flying because they've got a home Euros, they're on home soil. And as you know, a Canada-England game is always a really difficult and competitive test. And then you go and add the quality that the Germans have, and then Spain, in terms of you've got a massive amount of, I think really Spain are probably the team that a lot of people are talking about as well for the Euros. You've got Champions League winners, etc. So three massively difficult competition games, which will give us great competition and a chance to assess us against European opposition. Because I think when you look this upcoming World Cup, it's got more Europeans than ever before, 11 teams. You're probably going to get maybe 2 in your group. And as we know from the last World Cup, 7 of the 8 in the knockout rounds were from Europe. So we have to get experience of playing European teams, because I would say historically it's been a bit of a sticking point for us in big moments. So great opportunity on the new journey to be tested.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Laura, please.
Hey, Bev, thanks very much for the time. You mentioned start of a new journey. Where do you see the squad big picture right now?
Yeah, I think, listen, it's going to be, we've got short term of a qualification. So normally you get a rebuilding year, and we don't have that. And so probably what you're going to start to see in the next 6 months, once we get our youth tournaments sort of, we get to see them be tested against the US, Mexico. That youth system has been almost not dormant, but very much haven't had anything that normally is that recycle that we normally get. So I'm really excited to see under 20, under 17, see who jumps out of that. But I think there is a reality that this group that just did the Olympics have also gone and done something that we've never done before. So I can't discredit the players that were involved for that. I think the team that's needed in 2023 might be different to the team that was needed in 2021. And I think that's now the exciting part, where every player that comes into camp now is fighting for a spot for both a qualification and a World Cup. So it'll be a blend, as we always are, a blend of veterans, new faces. I think we need to keep re-injecting, and then that middle group who've got that great experience of probably two medals in their back pocket.
Can you give us a sense of what the last 6 months have been like for you? I mean, I'm sure some people will come in and say, this is sort of the start of the next cycle, but I assume you haven't just been sitting around doing nothing since Tokyo.
No, and I think, to be honest, going into this particular, it feels like a new start. When I first got the job, it's almost a whole year since She Believes. And I feel that hunger, energy to set a new vision in this particular camp. I think that the 2 camps post the Olympics, you had the celebration tour, and then we obviously had Mexico, where we had a lot of challenges around roster and altitude and a whole load of things, but it gave us some vital experience. But I think now there's a line in the sand where, yes, that Olympic medal happened, but actually I want to move beyond the medal, and we have to set that new vision and, tweak some things that'll help us longer term as a team. So it's been crazy. It's been a busy, I would say, 2021, but 2022 feels very fresh and sort of new direction. And like I say, climb that new mountain. That's where we're off to.
Thanks, Bev.
Thanks.
Thank you. John, please.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, Bev. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me. To us. With regards to Julia Grosso, I know it's only been a short time since she's been with Juventus, but I'm just wondering, what you've made of her time in Italy thus far, what you made of the move, and how it might benefit, her in the national team in the long run.
Yeah, I think I'm really keeping a close eye. I watched Julia yesterday, actually. She played and she got about 72 minutes. So she's obviously getting more and more game time in that setting. What I will say is, what I always found with Julia, and particularly a couple of the players that were coming from NCAA, it took them a while when we were in camp to get up to speed with, I guess, full-time professional players. And so I know that move is only going to help Julia mindset-wise, physically, technically, tactically. So I'm really excited to what Julia Grosso can become. I think hopefully she comes into this camp more ready than she's ever been, to really make a push. So yeah, I think it'll be a great move for her. And watching her yesterday, she really belongs in that Juventus team, and I know our coach Joe believes in her ability a lot. So I'm excited to see what comes in.
And a quick follow-up, if I may, Bev, beyond this window, is there plans afoot to, host some, some friendlies and whether it's in the spring?
Yeah, definitely. So we're planning for a home game in Canada in April. We're just finalizing the details of that. But yeah, we obviously want to bring the team back home and give our fans, young girls and boys who want to see the team on home ground, a chance to see them in April.
Cheers, Bev. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Megan, followed by Lima, please.
Hi, Bev. Thanks again for taking the time today. Kind of continuing the theme of new starts, obviously Steph Labbe announced her retirement a couple of weeks ago. Looking at the net, do you view this as Kailen Sheridan's to lose, or how open is the competition now for the starters role, would you say?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't use the to lose. I think Kailen, we all know what Kailen can do. She does it week in, week out at NWSL. I think it's a great opportunity, and I think Kailen is more than ready, and probably was ready pre-Olympics too. It's just great that we've had that level of competition, particularly between Steph and Kailen, and it's only pushed Steph to be where she got to in the Olympics. But I think it's a great opportunity for Kailen. She's ready. She was ready, a while ago, and now she just gets the chance to move forward. But I won't discredit what Erin McLeod brings in terms of some real experience and mentorship around that, and Sabrina, and then the new face in Devon. So I think what's really important, and what I value more than anything, is what having a close goalkeeping group does to push goalkeepers to be better. I think, like I say, we've seen that in the summer. So yeah, got every faith in what Kailen can bring for this team now and in the future.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Alima, followed by Richard, please. We can come back. Richard, followed by Pierce, please. Richard Leverty. And just on mute. Alima, we can see you. If you can go off mute, you can jump in now. Nope. Okay. I can see your hands there. So we'll just wait one moment. We've got Richard. Okay, Lou from Houston. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Sorry, my camera's not working today, so you're not able to see me. But my question has to do with the players that you have from the Houston side, particularly Nichelle Prince. She's been around the Canadian scene for a while, but what's been the greatest growth that you have seen from her, and what's kind of the expectation of her role at this series?
Yeah, I think Nichelle, for me, was very, very consistent, and probably really earned her way to be a starting player in the Olympic Games. I think, what you get in Nichelle is not just on the pitch, like an unbelievable person. I think she's a bit of a nightmare to deal with, anybody that comes up against her, and probably can play anywhere across the front three, which is massive, obviously, when you're in tournament football. This series, again, with all of those out of season players, it'll be a chance to see where they're at physically, but that might have an impact on how much they can feature across 3 games. But Nichelle is a critical player for us, was critical in getting us on the podium, and will be moving forward.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, I figured it out. Sorry about that.
Perfect. Good. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. It's Alima. I'm calling from, not calling, but I'm taking part here from Deutsche Welle in Berlin, in Germany. And the German media have described the Canadian team as a challenge, as a test, also as a big test for them. What can the Germans expect from this Canadian team in terms of what is Canada's football philosophy? What is their DNA? What are they made of?
Yeah, I think, listen, naturally, we probably landed on the podium from being a really difficult team to beat. I think that's who we are. We'll work harder than anyone we play, for sure, very front-footed. But I think where we need to move to is also being a big threat, at the other end. So being world-class in our own box, which we are, but moving towards being much better in the opposition's box too. So yeah, I think you're going to experience a difficult game. I know that playing against Germany will be incredibly difficult game too. But I think that's the DNA of this team, is a really, really difficult team to beat.
And if I could also just do a follow-up, where do you see this Canadian team among the likes of teams like Germany, for example, or the USA, or France, for example?
Yeah, I think, history and results would say that, like, on our day, we can compete with all of those teams. I think, yeah, like, you look, all of those teams in the top 10, it's closer than it's ever been. I think FIFA rankings now, they stand for something, but they also can be misleading, because I think the women's game has moved so far. Any team in that top 10 could go and win a World Cup, a Euros, and that's what you're probably going to see in this particular tournament. It's going to be tight, and all 3 teams will be really competitive.
Hi, Bev. Sorry, it's Richard. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect.
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Bev. I think I'll start on behalf of everyone on here from England when I say we pass our thoughts to Christine and her family as well. Just 2 quick ones from me. And you've kind of covered this somewhat on another question, but in the short term, what are you looking to get out of these games against 3 teams that are obviously preparing for a major tournament in the summer, that are going to come into it full-blooded with their best squads? Is that what was part of the attraction for you, that you knew you were coming up against 3 sides that were really going to go for it and give you a challenge?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I know that when you put yourself in that arena, more often it's going to stand you long-term to be in a better place. If you look at the Olympics, we had to play probably, 4 tier 1 teams to get there. And that's ultimately what you're going to come up against in the big moments. And I think, again, with 2023 in mind, we absolutely are going to end up facing probably one of these 3 teams in a critical moment. And so that is crucial for us. I think what I know is, when I'm assessing players and even us as staff, when you play these level of opposition, every minute counts on the sideline. Every touch matters. Like, I think this is the place that you learn, you grow, you develop. And I think it's a starting point now, a new journey. Do I think we'll turn up and absolutely blow this tournament out the water? Absolutely not, because you've got 3 unbelievable teams, and you've got a team coming in with, some players out of season. But what you have got is a team that will give everything to try and win this tournament at the same time.
Yeah, and the final one from me, I know you announced this a month or so ago, but obviously you've added a couple of key staff that are familiar to those of us here in England, obviously Andy and Jen. Just interested, what was the sort of thinking behind those appointments, and sort of particularly Andy, the experience he has, but also only in England, having never really worked obviously abroad. What was it about Andy that stood out as the assistant manager?
Yeah, I think both of those I was aware of and had great reputations when I was in England. Andy obviously was at the FA, and Jen, to be fair, as well, at youth level. But, I knew I know the experiences that you go through in that setting, some of the best practices, some of the processes, the level of players you've worked with. And, you know, in many ways, Andy's been a number one and he gets it. But what you would say is Mo Marley, who I highly, you know, I admire and is an unbelievable coach, would tell you he's an unbelievable number two. Jen Hurst is a set play specialist. It's something I think we can improve on. So both of them are massively going to add to our team and where it needs to head. And I think I've hired not only some great practitioners, but some unbelievable people. And I think that's the most important thing.
Thanks, Bev.
Thank you. We're hopefully going to get through one or two more questions before we have to push off travel day. But Pierce, followed by Har, please.
Hi, Bev. Thanks for taking the time to answer my question here. Just a quick question about Yasmine Aleju. It's a name that I don't think a lot of us are going to be familiar with. I don't know that I've seen she's ever been in camp with the national team or been part of the program. What is it about her qualities and characteristics that have earned her this place?
Yeah, I think, and you know, obviously a lot of our scouting happens over video, but what I would say I've seen from Marie in her time in Norway is a very physical league. What I've seen from her on the pitch, she can massively cover ground, is athletic, could play quickly. And I think those three things, if you look at the makeup of our team, the way we play, and probably where we need to head in the future, those traits I've seen. And I'd heard great things, not only from seeing the video footage, but from people who'd sort of seen her and worked with her over a period of time. And so that was the decision, is, you know, scouting her game, seeing what she could bring. It's just a different quality that she could add in our midfield. But again, until you get them in camp and you're working with them and around our players, it's always difficult to really know. What I always say to a new face coming in is, you know, you've got nothing to lose. It's just an opportunity, particularly in this setting, to even train. And then if you blow us out the water and you get on the pitch, it's even better.
Thank you for the time to answer that question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Har, followed by Armin.
Hi, Coach. It's good to see you. I've got a couple quick questions. You brought in Devon Kerr to this camp and the roster. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about Devon and what you're expecting from her? Obviously, she's played in the NWSL.
Yeah, so Devon I actually had with Riley Foster in my first under-17 World Cup in 2014. And Devon, you know, athletic, great shot stopper, very sort of Canadian traits around our goalkeeping group. So I think with Devon, again, I just said to her, it's a great opportunity for me to assess you alongside our keepers. Devon has been the number 2 in NWSL, and so the level of game time hasn't been there. So I thought that this window was a great opportunity to assess her. What I know of her historically is she's a great goalkeeper. And we need to keep sort of expanding that pool, given, you know, Steph's retirement and where we're heading in the future. So I think Devon will be a great addition and a good chance to see her, you know, in the training setting.
And you mentioned looking to finalize a game in April, perhaps in Canada. Would that potentially be at BC Place?
I can't confirm that, but being my sort of hometown, I would love for it to be there. So we're working on plans at the minute to have it all finalized.
Thanks, Coach. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Armin.
Yeah, I think, like you talk about the success, probably the hardest part is yet to come when you've gone and done that. It's actually the next 2 years that are probably harder than the last year, when maybe there was little expectation and scrutiny. So I think the first thing this team has to get used to is that, where there's a greater expectation and scrutiny, not only on the players, on the staff. I think that's going to be a great challenge for us. But at the same time, I think we've got some key areas, you know, doing a whole review after the after the Olympic Games. You know, we need to score more goals on set plays. We know that in World Cups, 30% of goals are scored in that area. That's definitely an area that we want to look to improve. Obviously, scoring more goals in general. Any person, scout, coach, watching Canada would say that, and that's something that's high on our agenda, for sure. But we can't lose what it is that made us successful. It's in the DNA of our team. We're athletic, you know, we're front-footed, but at the same time, we do need to add that next layer of scoring more goals and being more ruthless. And that'll come right through a process. We're not going to focus on the outcomes. It'll come over time. We've definitely put some key metrics and things in place that we know leads to more goals, and that's what we're going after. Yeah, I think, to be honest, for this women's team, there always has been, right? They've been the team that everyone loves in Canada. And I'm so pleased to say that, you know, like now both teams are doing phenomenally well. It's a great time for anyone to be grown up in Canada. You've got role models left, right and center, and the men are doing unbelievable things. So yeah, I think like the team always wear that jersey with a massive amount of pride. I think any team playing against them can see that. It means, you know, it meant more to us than any other team. That's how I felt as a coach of this team, and that won't change. And it can't change, because that's what it is that pushes these players to new levels. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That will wrap up our media call with head coach Bev Priestman ahead of the Arnold Clark Cup. Thank you very much, Bev. Thank you very much, everyone.